Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final session of the day and track one for DAM, for CPG and retail. I am excited to introduce Natalie and Richard from Land's End, who are going to give their presentation about Land's End having a DAM advantage in marketplace expansion. I had the just complete pleasure to work with Richard. I guess, my gosh, it's about 3 years ago now already, how time flies. When he was first kicking off this particular initiative, and Natalie since joined him and the team to do the amazing things that they have done together. Richard is a man of great and jolly personality, and I know he's going to add a lot of color to this. And Natalie's also going to talk about everything that she's done with this program and share a lot of really wonderful insights. So with that, I will hand it over to the two of them. Thank you, Natalie and Richard.
Thank you, Teresa, for the introduction. It's really a pleasure to be here, and it's been a successful journey to date, and I really appreciate our relationship and all the things that we've done over the last few years. It's been quite a journey, and more to come. I am Richard Swazik from Land's End, and with me today is Natalie Dollar. Before we get started, I do want to take a moment to thank Teresa and the Henry Stewart team for inviting us here today. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be with you all here today. My role at Land's End is to oversee creative operations, which includes global multi-channel operations and production, project management, and digital asset management. I'd also like to introduce Natalie Dollar, who joined us just last September as digital asset manager.
Hi, I'm really excited to be here. As Richard just said, I'm Natalie that's my maiden last name, Natalie Dollar, the digital asset manager at Land's End as of last September. I have approximately 10 years DAM experience, and before joining Land's End, I worked in a variety of other sectors ranging from cultural to direct sales to manufacturing. So thrilled to be here today. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Natalie. And our next slide, our session is titled Land's End has a DAM advantage in marketplace expansion. If you're all not familiar with Land's End, we're a leading global retailer known for high quality apparel for the whole family. Our product assortment is primarily offered on landsend.com and through our international sites in the UK, Germany, France, and Japan. One of our primary means of advertising is catalog marketing. Last month, Land's End officially launched its third-party marketplace, and there are currently 24 branded retailers on landsend.com, and this number continues to grow. In addition, last fall, Land's End expanded its marketplace presence by offering its full assortment on the Kohls website and select product in 150 Kohls store. The past year has been really an exciting growth opportunity, and it's been possible largely due to implementing a brand new DAM system about 1.5 years ago. So next we'll go to our agenda for today. So Natalie and I are gonna cover a brief history of Land's End, the current state of DAM at Land's End, of course, the marketplace that this presentation is about, the DAM advantage, some success metrics, and summary of tips to wrap it up. So a little bit of brief history about Land's End. This is our founder, Gary Comer. He founded the company in 1963. We moved the corporate headquarters in 1990 from Chicago to Dodgeville, Wisconsin in the upper Midwest. In 1995, we launched landsend.com. In 2004, started managing digital assets. We are on NASDAQ and traded. And in 2019, as I mentioned, about 1.5 years ago, we implemented a new DAM system. So I want to talk a little bit our current state of DAM right now. We currently have over 700 users globally in our digital asset management system. We manage about 2 million assets. And we also utilize DAM to manage over 20,000 unique printed pages that are managed globally, because again, we're a major catalog advertiser. Currently about 75% of our assets are images. with the rest in layouts and documents that are related to catalog production. And then we have some other ones, including video, which we are growing our base of assets managed within the DAM currently. Okay, our next slide, we're going to talk about our strategic roadmap a little bit. So this outlines briefly our three primary objectives for our strategic roadmap: to optimize, to maximize, and to innovate. Part of optimizing is we do revisit the DAM capability model as a measuring stick to assess how our organization is doing with DAM. And we actually concluded that a couple of weeks ago, and we plan to do that annually. We also ongoing evaluate our processes. We do have a lot of, still we have legacy processes and what's commonly referred to as tribal knowledge. And we're continuing to update our processes to become more modern, new, and sophisticated. And that takes a lot of teamwork and reconfiguration and remapping of our processes. And we're in the middle of that, and we have a long ways to go there. Maximizing, we're expanding our scope of assets. As I said earlier, most of our assets are images, but we want to continue to expand that scope to manage copy as an asset, integrate 3D and design within our framework of our digital asset management system. We're continually looking at expanding our metadata management and our rights to use management. And the third point is what we're going to talk about today about facilitating growth in the marketplace. The last of the three is innovate. We continue to explore new business relationships and new technology. And Natalie is going to speak a little bit about, we've adopted and implemented a new avatar-based image creation technology that so we can offer and show all of our product, all of our apparel product on figure, on models for every color, which in the past, we just would not, we were not able to do that due to cost constraints. And we continue to expand our technology and business relationships in retouching and other facets of the business. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie to talk specifically about Lands End Marketplace.
All right. So to kick us off here in this segment about the Lands End Marketplace, I thought we'd start with a definition. As DAM practitioners, we all understand the importance of shared vocabulary. So when we talk about the marketplace, we are talking about a platform where vendors come together to sell their products or services to a curated customer base. We're all very familiar with Amazon and how this model applies in that context, but what does it mean for an organization like Lands End? So Lands End took a two-pronged approach with our marketplace expansion. We have Lands End as a marketplace and Lands End in the marketplace. Lands End as a marketplace is where vendors sell their products on landsend.com, our website, and they're offering an assortment of categories such as footwear, home decor, and intimates, alongside the full product assortment of the Lands End brand. The focus is on curating a smaller catalog of highly visible partner brands rather than aim for an Amazon-style open marketplace. And we officially launched this program in March of this year with 24 sellers. Lands End in the marketplace is where Lands End sells their products on third-party sites like Kohls and Amazon. We've been selling on Amazon since 2016, and we launched a new partnership with Kohls last year in 2020, where we're selling our products both online on Kohls' site as well as in stores, and it's been hugely successful. So why this move for Lands End? What were our objectives and our strategy? Well, the key to longevity for any business is to evolve and to stay relevant and to grow. So with the marketplace initiative, we added new revenue streams. We expanded our brand reach by getting in front of more customers on different sites. And we've also expanded product offerings to our customers by adding brands and products that complement our Lands End assortment. As far as how successful the launch has been, in our experience, there were a lot of things instrumental to the success of the new Lands End Marketplace venture, but some of the most important and most relevant to this audience include new avatar-based photography. This was a tool we implemented last year, and it allowed us to cut down on lead time for production. It saved on cost associated with traditional photography, and of course, we could produce more photography for less. Additionally, our DAM was absolutely instrumental. In 2019, we stood up a new DAM with far greater capabilities than our previous DAM. And we fine-tuned the new DAM for the Lands End Marketplace undertaking through a partnership with our technical SMEs. With people and process all working within the DAM, we have teams of really skilled and dedicated people that help to define and drive new processes needed for working with our numerous new third-party vendors. And last but not least, testing. We conducted beta testing of our integrated systems to ensure we could scale up, as well as tested the new program with customers through a soft launch to make sure that the appetite in the market was there. With this slide, you get a sneak peek at some of our avatar-based imagery that you'll see on our website, as well as out there in the marketplace on the other sites like Amazon and Kohls. Something to note is that these are real models. The models are photographed by the system vendor. Our product is then shot by us, Lands End, on mannequins. And then the models and the products are assembled by our stylists in the tool, a lot like paper dolls. Now, what we're all here to hear about, our DAM. What was our DAM's role in the Lands End Marketplace initiative, and how did DAM contribute to making the program so successful? There are really three big areas to call out. First of all, metadata. We all know how important metadata is, and we also know how challenging it can be to manage all of the metadata, especially when you're working with metadata from multiple systems. One of the things that we were able to do that I would say is an absolute must to make something like a marketplace expansion successful is mapping or automating the mapping of metadata from one system to another. In our example here, we have JSON sidecar files that come from the avatar-based imagery system that carry lots of metadata, such as model rights, including the model names and the expiration dates, as well as shot type. Is the image a ghost or mannequin, or is it an on figure? We then also have retention rules in place to automate the archiving of assets based on model expiration metadata. With that said, we do have an area of opportunity that we're currently exploring and using this metadata. Is there a way that we can use this metadata to trigger model replacements? Remember, the avatar-based imagery is real models with real model usage rights to manage. And in today's process, we are more or less manually tracking when a model's rights are expired for active and carryover product, and then semi-manually replacing the images. So we're looking into a few ways to solve for this. Maybe it's different usage rights. For example, the model rights are good for the life of the product. That's one thing that we're exploring. Or maybe there's a way, something like a web hook of sorts, to automate the process of replacing models for active product based off of the metadata. Workflows, that's another area to talk about. With our initiative, we built out programmatic workflows within the DAM with automation based off workflow steps and targets to assign assets to appropriate teams throughout the workflow. Images flow into the DAM from the avatar image system through a hot folder. A member of the digital imaging team is then responsible for QCing the images and either approving, which is most of the time, or rejecting some of the time. The images might be rejected either because we are exporting extras, we have more than what we really need, or sometimes there are some flaws and the images have to be sent back for correction. So after the new images are all reviewed, the good images are then set to approved in the DAM using an approved processing state and added to the appropriate workflow to forward onto the next team member in the process. The next team member in the process is notified of this new task through an automated email generated by our DAM. When it's time to format the images, the team has developed scripts that the images run through to crop, resize, and rename. And it's very important for our images to be standardized for these scripts to work the majority of the time. There's really no way the team would be able to keep up with the image demands added by the new Lands End Marketplace initiative without standardization. Another way in which we're leveraging our DAM to make the Lands End Marketplace program possible is asset ingestion. We've set up permission domains within our DAM for vendors to upload their assets through a web portal. We technically have two branches of the Lands End as a marketplace program. We've got a B2C, this is the new initiative, and we also have B2B, which has been around for a while. With the new B2C program, we took learnings. This is where it gets a little confusing. I go back and forth between B2C and B2B. With the new B2C program, we took learnings from the B2B process and set up these portals from the very beginning, knowing just how difficult it is to manage all the various vendor assets. The process of having vendors upload their own assets into the DAM has been so successful and works so well that we're now working on updating that B2B process to mirror what we're doing with the B2C and vendor portal process. On this slide, you see some stats. These are really to provide some context into the scope of the Lands End Marketplace program. These are all of the vendor assets or assets for vendors that we're managing in the DAM. So this first number, Lands End in the marketplace, these are the Kohls images. So these are unique assets generated by Lands End for Kohls, and we've got a little more than 17,000 currently in our DAM. The next set of numbers here, these are Lands End as a marketplace, and we have over 28,000 assets that are vendor supplied, both for our B2B and our B2C business units. Of these 28,000, over 17,000 are for the new B2C Lands End Marketplace venture, with the images being uploaded by more than 24 vendor partners. And that number of vendor partners is rapidly growing by the day. So how do we measure our success and what do the numbers tell us? As we all know, metrics are very important for data-driven decision-making, taking a lot of the subjectivity and supposition out of the equation. No more guesswork or hunches or assumptions about the successfulness of a program. So having the right metrics will also help with iteration, the key ingredient to innovation. Metrics can inform us of areas of a process or a program that need improvement. In our current state at Lands End, we're presently tracking asset volume in our DAM by the type of assets. So the more straightforward ones are, is this an image or is it a video or is it an illustration, and what are the percentages of each? But we're also tracking them by channel. Are they core, which means are they for our own website? Are they Kohls? Are they vendor for Lands End as a marketplace? And some of the things that we can discern from those numbers are the trends with regard to our workload. Are there peaks and valleys? And if so, do we need additional resources? And at what time during the year do we need those additional resources? So the timing. These numbers are also helpful with making the business case for those additional resources and the specific types of resources needed. Do we need seasonal support? Do we need to add another full-time position to the team? Do we need new tools? Something else we're using the tracker to watch for is how many images are exported versus ultimately published. Do we need to continue with the excess volume, or is there an opportunity to change a process upstream to cut down on the excess and add efficiency? And while this information is all great, we do want to work toward more mature metrics in the future, metrics that really drive or contribute to revenue growth decision-making. How do the assets perform? For instance, do ghost images resonate better with customers in certain categories more so than on-figure images do? Ultimately leading to greater conversion. So that's our future state that we'd like to work toward. In summary, we have a few takeaways from our experience with the Lands End marketplace expansion. First, leverage people, process, and technology. We had skilled people defining and driving efficient processes, all streamlined by technology. Be sure to collaborate closely with technical SMEs. We have a very close partnership with an outside firm. We leaned on them heavily to make recommendations and fine-tune the dam to both automatically ingest metadata from other systems, as well as develop programmatic workflows, test to validate systems, processes, and the product or service, plan for proper metadata management. With our avatar-based imagery, the models are real people with real usage rights to manage. So it was absolutely paramount to manage the metadata accurately and efficiently. Integrate and automate wherever possible. We are now exploring an API integration between our dam and our avatar imagery system, as well as a future integration with our new PIM. Standardized processes. Things like image spec standards can be taken for granted, but have a big impact on your ability to automate the cropping of large volumes of assets for multiple channels. So standardization is crucial. Make no assumptions. This is my personal mantra. Assume nothing and ask lots of questions to make sure that you're crystal clear on the business requirements. Be prepared to iterate. Nothing is or ever should be done. It's important to continually revisit and refine. And last but not least, be patient. It takes time. Success won't happen overnight. And that is the summary of tips for maximizing your dam in a marketplace expansion.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. To kind of wrap up, as we all know, and Teresa has reminded me over and over, digital asset management is a journey and usually a progression of steps. A little bit of background, again, is when our new CEO joined Lands End about 4 years ago, he set out company strategies and priorities, and one of them was to be a digitally driven organization. And implementing a sophisticated new digital asset management system was a key factor of that. And just to wrap up again, what I've told the teams internally, and might be part of anyone, your justification when you're looking for implementing a new dam system, is this expansion that we've done in the marketplace would not have been possible without a sophisticated digital asset management system. With that, I think we're going to have a few minutes of Q&A, and on the next slide, Natalie and I did want to share our contact information, and I think that's going to be shared out broadly by the Henry Stewart team. But please feel free to reach out to us, either email or LinkedIn or any other means. We'd be happy to talk to anyone out there that has questions or just want to brainstorm about ideas. So I'm going to turn it over to Teresa if we have questions.
Yes, thank you, Richard and Natalie. There's definitely some questions that have come in. I have to say, in addition to those fabulous tips, I really want to run out and buy some swimsuits and new summer clothing. Not that it really ever gets that warm in England, but it definitely made me
I love to hear that.
It was effective. It was effective across the board. A few really interesting questions. First one was around rights management. So you talked about maybe addressing that in your roadmap. Somebody was curious, how are you managing rights now, and what's that transition going to look like?
Well, that's been an interesting process, because when we're expanding in the marketplace, and especially being on other vendor sites, it gets tricky. And some vendors are better than others in terms of managing the metadata that's associated with those assets. So we've had to kind of rethink our rights management across the board to be more of a global retailer. So what that essentially means is that we've worked with our agencies to expand our rights and our model rights, just to be careful so we're not legally getting into any issues. So that's kind of the strategy that we've taken. When it was only managing within our site, it was very easy because we're within our own organization. But as you expand, you lose that control. That's the reality of it. And then you have to decide, is your partner going to help you manage it, or are you just going to have a strategy that applies to they're out there, and the longevity is important. I hope that answered it.
I think to the extent that you can for now, it's part of the journey,
Okay.
right? It's part of
Yes,
the journey.
part of the journey. We're still learning.
Yes. So a couple people were interested as well in this avatar-based photography and the models. Does that make the rights management more complicated? Does it make it easier? But also, can you talk a little bit more about that avatar based photography? A lot of interest in that.
Yeah, we adopted that last year. We really dove into it. It gives us flexibility. And like Natalie said, it's kind of like using the best analogy that we can say, it's like paper dolls, where we're shooting all our product on mannequins and then we're putting together. But the avatars are real models and they do have their rights. But then this gives us more opportunity with options with different models. We literally we could have the same merchandise on landsend.com, but a different model on our partner site, because we can better manage the use rights management. We may have a model on another site that has longer rights management or rights to that. So the main thing is flexibility, and it's very cost effective in the scheme of things. We could not scale, and we talk about that a lot, to the extent that we did without adopting this type of technology. It just wouldn't be possible shooting it within a studio.
I hear that from a lot of not even just clothing retailers, furniture sorts of environments where they're shooting in a virtual environment or they're setting up a room in a virtual environment, for example. It's how you scale, right? It's your point.
Yeah, and it's really exciting too, is because we're also developing 3D technology through product development, and part of our roadmap is to not actually photograph the product on mannequins, but have it within 3D and then put it together that way. So that's further down the road, but we're always looking ahead.
How about uploading a picture of yourself to be able to see how you'd look in the clothes?
We have so many.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I bought some glasses recently and I was able to do that, put the picture, and it was incredible because I could rotate my head and see how the glasses would look on me. So I think we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions on that, and whatever the customer wants, that's what we're going to go for.
Good. That's the way to be, customer driven. A question about AI. Some people, and I'm so impressed because I know some of these people that are asking questions are in Europe. So kudos to the Europeans for staying online this late to participate in the conference. AI. So are you thinking about using AI for metadata enrichment? Is that part of the discussion or the roadmap?
We're not there yet. I want to ask Natalie what her thoughts are, because we've got so much to accomplish, but I'd love to hear what Natalie says.
Yeah, I would second that. It's certainly something we should look into. It's something I've explored in the past, but for the roadmap 2021 roadmap, I'd say we're maybe 2022.
Sounds good. So actually that's all the questions that came in from the audience. So I think we only have a couple minutes left, so I'm supposed to give some closing statements. Was there anything else that you wanted to say in terms of final words of advice for our audience before I give our closing statement today?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. Please reach out to us. This is a great community. We want to all help each other, and feel free to reach out, and appreciate being part of the Henry Stewart team.
Hopefully in person in Chicago.
Yes.
Sometime soon. I miss Chicago.
Better.
I miss Chicago a lot. One of my favorite cities. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, with that, thank you, Richard and Natalie, so much for your presentation.